Hi everyone, I'm Joe. Today it's time for me to do a book review of Interesting Times, written by Terry Pratchett. This was first published in 1994. It is the 17th Discworld novel and the 5th novel within the Rincewind character sub-series. So first of all, what is the Discworld? It is quite simply a round disc-shaped world which rests on the back, logically, of 4 very large elephants, which stand on the back of a very large world turtle which swims through space as though it was water. Now, sounds strange, and it is, but it also makes perfect sense and frankly works with the world and creates many memorable moments. And one of the memorable moments is the continents and the countries, because Terry Pratchett, essentially all these countries and environments in the Discworld are essentially Earth environments, just twisted at a slightly strange angle, and he's just having fun with multiple countries. And this one, he's being sarcastic and making fun of China. Yes, imagine Terry Pratchett's sense of humour mixed with China. This is an interesting one. So, as far as the synopsis is concerned, the book starts off in Ankh-Morpork, which is basically Terry Pratchett being sarcastic about London, England. And the patrician of Ankh-Morpork, called Veterinary, he gets a strange and troubling message via Pointless Albatross. And the message simply says, "Send us the Great Wizard." And wizard is spelled with 2 Z's, not 1. So he goes to the Unseen University, where all the wizards are in the city, and basically tells them that this is a message, you have to deal with it, not me, and basically I'll make your life hell if you don't deal with it. They understand that this is a issue that they've got to deal with, so they do. One wizard realises though, specifically the librarian, who happens to be an orangutan, this is a magical university after all, that there is one wizard that spelt his title as a wizard with 2 Z's, and that is Rincewind. So they, using a fairly advanced and highly dangerous magical spell, pull Rincewind halfway across the Discworld to Ankh-Morpork, where he was on some random tropical island after the adventures of the previous novel. And they basically manipulate him into going to where the message says, which is the counterweight continent, or the Gantian Empire, which is basically China. So Discworld, followed by the luggage, ended up getting sent by the same magical spell again to the Gantian Empire, and he has some rather interesting times over there. For the record, the title Interesting Times refers to a curse, basically that you can sort of put on somebody, may you live in interesting times, which essentially means may you live in interesting times filled with probably unpleasant and nasty events, frankly. Anyway, he ends up being caught in the middle of a revolution, because there is 5 families fighting for the sort of emperor role in the kingdom, because the emperor is on the verge of dying. One of them, Lord Hung, is probably more devious and more powerful than the others at the moment, and he starts getting involved. Rincewind is just trying to run away and survive, as he always does. However, he gets pulled into the Red Army, which is a revolutionary sort of underground army, although it's surprisingly young and not quite what it appears to be according to legend. And on the way, between all these mad events happening, he bumps into Conan the Barbarian. Now, Conan the Barbarian in this book is not the sort of 6.5 foot Arnold Schwarzenegger lookalike. He is, however, kind of him, merely a lot later in life, because yes, Conan the Barbarian was a legend and is a legend, but legends get older. So this is Conan the Barbarian at age 92. He's still incredibly dangerous, however, and frankly everybody's still wary of him because he can still pretty much beat anybody he wants to. However, in this, he's got himself a gang, or a horde as he likes to call it, the Silver Horde. Basically a load of very elderly barbarian heroes, and they're going to the Imperial Palace in the middle of the Gantian Empire to basically steal something. They're not exactly saying what it is, but there's something they want. Obviously, they've got the big plan for it. They think Rincewind will be useful for it. He doesn't think he'll be useful for it because he just wants to be well away from everybody. So this leads into a whole series of events where there's the Red Army, there's the Silver Horde, there's Lord Hung and his political machinations. I mean, he wants to be the Emperor of the Kingdom, of the Gantian Empire, but he wants some changes because he's seen the outside world, and he wants more of the world than merely, what he can currently control. He wants the whole world, not just one part of it. He's a very ambitious individual, as is often the case. And let's just say the plot is mad, fun, and really well thought out. Really enjoyable. One of the reasons it's so enjoyable is because of the characters. Rincewind, the wizard, as the main character, with the luggage who follows him, is a brilliant main character as always. It's not always everybody's favourite character in the Discworld books, however, but I personally like him. I mean, he's in the very first Discworld novel. He's a cowardly wizard. He runs away from all danger. Because of this, though, many people actually find him very useful to have, because if he's able to survive something, then it is survivable. There are more other characters as well. I'm not going to say one of them is an interesting character from the past as well, which I'm not even going to say the name of because it may be a survivor, it may not. Conan the Barbarian and the Silver Horde is a brilliant set of characters. I mean, Conan is essentially described as a force of nature on legs. He's irrepressible, you just can't beat him, really. He's not evil, obviously he's not good. He just wants to be the barbarian hero. That's all he's known and that's all he can know. And the rest of the Silver Horde are the same. They're very simple in their wants. They want to be the big barbarian heroes where they're ransacking temples, getting lots of gold, carrying off the maiden, that sort of thing. The world is starting to go beyond that point now, and they don't really fit in anymore. So hence why they're elderly, and hence why they're trying to do this, sort of last big job, really, kind of like their retirement job, really. And that is really, really fun as well. And another interesting character to note is Lord Hung, the head of one of the big families. He's a very curious character. He's got a very strange but interesting psychology. He interacts with the other characters in an interesting way. They're not used to him, he's not used to them. Of course, it's a different philosophy on life, on a way of living. So I'm not going to say too much about him, but he's a really interesting character and one that I personally enjoyed reading about. And one of the reasons why all these characters are enjoyable is because of the location. Now, it starts off in Ankh-Morpork, but unlike many other previous Discworld novels, Ankh-Morpork is only a very brief location. They're only there for a few dozen pages, frankly. Then the whole book is essentially in the Gantian Empire, which is, as I said, it's T. Pratchett taking stereotypes about China, other sort of Eastern countries as well, but mostly China, and essentially playing with them and saying how ridiculous some of these stereotypes are by often exaggerating the stereotypes or twisting them in a way that you wouldn't necessarily expect, and just making them laughable and amusing and frankly really enjoyable to read about. And that's why the book as a whole is brilliant and it's really, really fun. And the last major aspect of this novel I'm going to talk about is the ideas and the themes that Pratchett imbues in this novel. And whilst yes, it may be a big fun adventure of sorts, with Rincewind being thrown across the world and thrown into Discworld China, it's far more than that actually. And one of the areas that T. Pratchett talks about is obviously politics and ruling systems, and the fact that this Discworld China, the Gantian Empire, is an authoritarian regime. Sound familiar with anybody? And it doesn't cope well with its citizens basically wanting to do their own thing. He wants to control everybody and be sort of this harsh, brutal state, but whilst thinking it's actually free and open, which it's blatantly not, because it wants to control everything. Obviously, Rincewind and Conan, for instance, they are obviously basically from the equivalent of the West, you know, America and UK and them sort of countries, so they've got a different philosophy on life and the world. So it's that contrast between, you know, the Western freedoms and the Eastern sort of authoritarian regimes, and how does these regimes interact with the people, how do the people interact with them, and how does the sort of underground element and the population work on a day-to-day basis, because Rincewind does see this on a personal level when he's, you know, running around the country trying to escape getting murdered. He does see them, people just doing normal things like holding water buffaloes in fields and hoping for longer pieces of string. You won't get the reference unless you know the book. And it's just fun to read about, enjoyable, and the points that Pratchett is making about politics and about rulers, politicians as such is a really interesting one, and one I think is worth reading for, as well as the big adventure. So overall, in summary, I'd say this is a really fun, enjoyable novel set in essentially Pratchett's very sarcastic version of China, where he takes every stereotype and has fun with them and runs with it. Brilliant set of characters and a brilliant plot line. So overall, I would recommend this as a difficult novel, although I would recommend reading them in order, personally. And with that said, that is it for this review. So if you've read this novel, or you'd like to, then please leave a comment, or you'd like to say anything about any of the other difficult novels, then, you know, feel free to leave a comment. All my social media links, as well as the link to this book on Goodreads, can be found in the description box below. With that said, that is it for this review. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you another day. Bye for now.